What's up, guys? It is Milk, and as you can see, I'm here with another Royal Recruits guide. And today's video, I'll be talking about how to counter Royal Recruits, Royal Hogs, Flying Machine, whatever you call it, a variation of the deck I use. Another Recruits Hogs deck. I know there is Recruits Logbait, Recruits Goblin Giant, um, a couple other things that I'm not really too used to, but I mainly play Recruits Hogs, and this is a counter to Recruits Hogs, Flying Machine. Um, And so yeah, let's get into it. Get back to the start of the game. This guy is running Cannoneer with his Tower Troop. I know last guide I made, Void got released, Goblinstein got released, Dagger Duchess has had its rise and fall. But this video isn't about that. We are going to be talking about how to counter Royal Recruits. And so, if you've heard some of my takes about playing this deck or playing Recruits in general, you know Recruits first play is kind of brain dead. That's exactly what this person does. And that's probably like mistake number one if you're playing against Recruits. Never play yours first. And as you can see, I cycled my Goblin Cage early. I have the evolution for Cage, so this is useful for many things. It stops from being first-handed, like maybe someone would drop a not bar barrel, Hog Rider at the bridge first play or something like that. Lumberloon. Goblin Cage helps with that. It cycles to the evolution quicker, and it's overall better than Zappies, which I would also use to cycle. But he's running Cannoneer. Your Zappies aren't going to do anything. They're going to cross the bridge and get obliterated instantly. So Goblin Cage is a good play firsthand, especially against Cannoneer. And Recruits too. So yeah, he made his first mistake when playing Recruits against another Recruits player, is playing them first. And so I set mine in the back. Usually when you want to play your Recruits on the Recruits as soon as they cross the bridge, that's like a good placement for your Recruits. But I placed mine a little bit further back to help my elixir grow just a little bit. Because I think I did leak a little bit. I'm not too sure. Yeah, here I am. Here I am leaking. Letting him catch up in elixir. And here is my first instance of the Void. With these guides, Void's a new card that I have replaced Fireball with because of the trades you get. They're far more positive elixir trades when it comes to using Void over Fireball. But there are things like Witch and Mother Witch that it struggles against. It's been nerfed into the ground since its release. Like Void used to kill Sparky with all 3 strong shots. It used to kill Executioner with all 3 strong shots. It used to one-shot Magic Archer with 1 strong shot. Now it takes 2. But I still prefer it over Fireball. I don't know. I just gotten a little bit more comfortable when using this card as compared to Fireball. It's a little bit smarter too of a spell than just playing it on the field. So I go Flying Machine the bridge. You can see that all of my recruits survived. Just completely got shredded his recruits, and so I'm able to counter push with a Flying Machine in the middle, catch any buildings, catch any troops in the middle, just trying to get rid of my recruits. And so I'm in single. I know that I'm not gonna take his tower, especially with a push like Flying Machine recruits. Especially with his Cannoneer, he's defending it too. And so I know at this point I'm not gonna do anything to his tower. So I fling out a late arrows just to kill what's on his map. Like I could have arrowsed a lot earlier. Like as soon as I got it, I could have arrowsed. See, look right here, I get my arrows. And I still wait. it didn't really benefit me if I arrowsed right away. I was just saving some elixir. Managed to kill everything anyways, so it didn't really matter. And this is just a reset. He is going to recruits the back again. So I'm going to cycle my Ice Spirit and Goblin Cage. And And I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. Because I saw that this guy was just going to recruit to the back every single time, try to beat me down. And so I go Zappies for split instead of recruits, which I normally do. But all I gotta do is just wait for another elixir plip, and then I have my recruits. I knew this was just gonna stave off his recruits off my tower, and I was able to get them down. Luckily, I got a pretty good counter push going with recruits and Zappies. It didn't really end up working, except for the left-hand side. Finally got some good damage on the left-hand side. I don't know why he didn't block it with archers or something, but I got it. Another instance of a void being used in this deck, because if you don't have something that you can use void against, because it does just suck against swarms, it does suck against like multiple troops and shit like that. And so if they're running something that you can't void, like if they're not running like a wizard or a Valkyrie that you could void, or a firecracker that you could void, it'll just sit in your hand. So you do got to figure out things to use with it. And Goblin Cage is another thing I would void in this deck. I would void archers too, and maybe save arrows for the recruits and Royal Hogs, because Void ain't going to do anything. I bet it gets like 4 recruits, 4 Hogs, but it will kill those archers, is what I'm trying to say. So I cycle back to my cage, make sure it's in the middle, because he's going to recruit to the back again. So I'm going to Zappies, just get a good counter push going. He's going to Flying Machine. And so I'm going to leak a little bit, just a little bit again, so his troops get a little bit closer and recruits. The Flying Machine's going to stay in the back so I could void it, get it off that map. He's going to try his best to get rid of my recruits, but I just had too much on the map by the time his recruits crossed the bridge. I had my Zappies, I had my cage, I had my Flying Machine, and my recruits all down by the time his recruits crossed my bridge. And so some of that's still left over. And so his recruits are definitely not touching my tower. And so I go Hogs for the first time this game. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but that was my first time I went Hogs, because it's 5 elixir. It's kind of hefty, especially when your like main card is 7 elixir. You can't really go with them pretty well. Royal Hogs is pretty finicky sometimes. I don't know. I see it as a liability. I wouldn't necessarily use Hogs all the time, but this is my first time splitting the Hogs, as I got just a little bit of recruits on each side. I got a little bit of pressure, so I have a Zappy, 2 recruits, and my Flying Machine on one side. That's pressure. That's pressure that he's going to have to respond to, especially because his left side is the one that's damaged. And so I split it. So 2 Hogs could go with the Goblin Cage, or yeah, the Goblin Brawler. So splitting up that pressure like that, forcing out the recruits, that's key. I actually forced out both the evolutions right here, which is really good. So I'm going to archers, or arrow the archers, pretty easy. Goblin Brawler just fucking doing work over there because of the Hogs. And that plan just ended up working. But I don't know if you noticed, but he played his recruits and I didn't. That's another thing, especially when both players have evolution recruits. He placed his recruits, well, I didn't need to at all. He had to play his on defense, defending something that wasn't my recruits. So that's kind of a big thing, because that just means next time he pushes with recruits, I'll have a much stronger version. I'll have a much better counter push, and it's just a waiting game until we get to that point. And it should be like right now. I Goblin Cage at 0. And see, his recruits, his push is not going to do much against that. And so I recruits the back. Our recruits are going to meet at the bridge. He's going to start splitting everything just like me, how I would. Except he doesn't have a large spell either, which is kind of hurting him. He has Barb Barrel. He's running Barb Barrel arrows, which is kind of tough because neither takes out a Flying Machine. And so after all this, I kind of memorized his deck, his archers, Flying Machine, arrows, recruits, all that. He just used 7 elixir. That 8. That spirit was 8, And the Barbarrel, 910. He boom, right there. Nah, use 10 elixir and add a flying machine on the map, taking out his Goblin Brawler. And potentially his Barbarrel. I don't think it locks onto the Barbarrel, actually. No, it doesn't. But that was a perfect opportunity to go pigs, because everything that he could have used to stop them is either being taken out or not in hand, or he doesn't have the elixir for. Because his only like reasonable response for the pigs at this point would probably be arrows or recruits. I'd probably go arrows, but I don't think that's enough time. He's gonna just eat up a shit ton of that pig damage, and that's gonna be a good game. Yeah, see, look, he responds with recruits and hit him with a good game because it's a fellow recruits player. I'm not going to disrespect the fellow recruits player, even if they make a couple of mistakes. But yeah, that's the guide. Just like keep your recruits in cycle with theirs. Always play on the defense when it comes to something like that, and pay attention to their cycle and their elixir, because just that one set of pigs, and I think it was my second play of the Royal Hogs that game, that won me the game, because I was able to pay attention to everything that they played. I put like all their ground cards at that point. Fucking Goblin Cage, Archers, Ice Spirit, Barbarrel, or Electro Spirit, Barbarrel, and I was able to punish that very easily. So hopefully you guys could do the same if you run this deck against other recruits players.